We are here for the Board of Commissioners regular meeting, Sanitary District, Wednesday, April 24th. And call to order, we have Mr. Peller is here, Mr. Edinger is here, and Mr. Smith will be here shortly. That's the roll call. We'll approve minutes later. Public comment. Is there any public comment? Hearing none. Michael, conference on the environment, June 7th. Oh, and Mr. Smith is present.
Sorry.
So let's go back to the approval of the minutes.
I'll make that motion to approve minutes.
Okay. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All approved. Conference on the environment.
He's here for like 15 split seconds and he's already getting a second.
Whoa.
Nice job.
Yeah, I was trying to get him before he sat down.
That's what we call about efficiency at the board meeting. In your packet, you'll see this flyer on the Conference on the Environment. It's scheduled for June 7th, 2019. The mayor is going to give the welcoming address again around 8 o'clock. Christopher Korleski is the director for the Great Lakes Programs Office at the USEPA. He's going to be our first speaker. Jerry Rayner, who I had the pleasure of meeting last September. He's the state's conservationist. He's going to be our second speaker. He's overall over the whole state of Indiana. And then Janet McCabe, who's the director for policy and implementation for the Environmental Resilience Institute at Indiana University, is going to be our third speaker. Don Babcock's going to talk about sustainability and resilience in Michigan City. Our keynote speaker is Captain David Rarick. He's going to sail around the world. He's a circumnavigator. He's actually from here in Michigan City. He's going to be our keynote speaker.
Cool.
Then we're going to have a history of Sheridan Beach by Harvey Pocarny. And then we're going to go through the Indiana Governor's Environmental Excellence Awards again. We're going to kind of try to go through each one of those four that were from Northwest Indiana and highlight those again, maybe 10, 15 minutes each. Janet Lingle is an attorney for the Army Corps of Engineers. She's going to talk about that. She's from Louisville, Kentucky. And then Margot Davis is going to talk about the Great Lakes Commission and the Great Lakes Champions programs that they have. We were part of that. Last year we had a grant about that. And actually, I'm speaking in Detroit about that, about our program early May. And then Ted Blahnik and Ethan Brown are going to talk about our Cheney Run Stormwater Project and our Carwood Remediation projects to close out the conference. It's free, no cost involved. Sign up by sending in this flyer, or you can get online and do it. And then also on the 7th for the conference, we're going to have the W.G. Jackson Research Festival again. And then also June 8th and 9th, we'll have the W.G. Jackson open to the public for any tours that they want to go on. Again, that's all free and brought to you by the Sanitary District through our stormwater outreach program. So that's what I just wanted to go
Here's
through.
my application.
Okay, very good. And I usually sign all the commissioners up automatically anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. And if you can make it, that'd be great. And if not, then we understand.
Great program.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like some excellent speakers. You know, phew.
And on another note on that conference is we already have our keynote speaker lined up for next year already. He's a gentleman that works on the Mississippi River and does some cleanup efforts and stuff. I heard he's really a top-notch speaker and a great presentation, so getting organized.
Financial report. Scott.
Good evening. I'll start with the cash balances as of March 31st, 2019. The operating fund had $448,473.52. The improvement at $841,634.76. Vehicle replacement at $79,161.73. And the equipment replacement fund at $685,707.56 for a total in that bank account of $2,054,977.57. The debt reserve had Indian Springs and Whippoorwill had no balance. We made the payment to BNY Mellon, and that cleared the account out. And we'll build it again to make another payment in June. The debt reserve had $489,621.06. The SRF bond and interest had $89,447.07 for a total at BNY Mellon of $579,068.13. Stormwater had $415,601.75. The refuse had $875,354.80. Special revenue had $3,658.95. Levy excess had $8,522.14. And the rainy day fund had $81,307.78 for a total in that bank account of $1,384,445.42. The Carwick remediation fund had $2,544,170.34 for a total cash balance of $6,562,661.46. Just a couple comments on the the first bank account, the balances I read. I'm still reconciling some items, and I try to reconcile it to the bank before the board meeting every month, but when we went live with the payroll last year, there might have been some accounting things that I'm still trying to verify what exactly, we have corrected the problems in 2019, so everything's being recorded correctly now. So it's just making sure that December balance was correct. And I believe that the numbers here stated are a little lower than what they should be, but I'm still trying to prove it. So, and then the other balances were pretty much in line with where we've been in the past. So on the Carwick too, some of the CDs did mature in April, so that number will probably go up when you see it next. Well, we have been making some payments, so on some of the remediation activities. We finished the tree cutting and all that, which I believe is going to be talked about later. So that's about it on the cash. The next thing is the budget performance report. This is just for the operating fund. And the only thing that's kind of out of line as you page through it would be the other professional services. And a lot of those services are like the plume that we're being reimbursed for, and also the Carwick, which I'll bring those up. So that number's kind of higher than what it will eventually be when we get the reimbursements. It'll come back down. But that's the only one that's kind of out of line at this point, but it's all going to be reimbursed, and that number will come back down to the budgeted levels. So I think we'll be okay there.
What page was that on, Scott?
That was on page 2, and it's kind of like
431.
yeah, 431.050.
050.
Yeah,
We're at 46% already? How much?
70%.
How much of that are we gonna get reimbursed?
Well, most of it really. Well, I would say it'll be about 20% as opposed to 70% to the full year budget. Because you got, later in the meeting, August MAC, there's 54,000 for the plume, which I'm asking for approval of, comes later in the meeting. And then we'll get reimbursed from redevelopment for it. And that one's 54,000 of that. And then there's also some of the Weaver consultant for the Carwick remediation project. Those are in there too.
But overall, the professional services is 46%.
Yeah, and that's because that 70%'s driving it up, because it shows that we spent 181 of the 260 so far. So, but that's the only thing that I'd like to highlight on that. Everything else looks like it's in line. And then on the next item, the insurance renewal invoices, I just put these in your books so you could see them. This was the $199,000 that you guys approved for the insurance renewals. And we have started working on getting 2 quotes for next year. So he's been working with Cincinnati to try to find a second carrier for the umbrella coverage that they want to cover. So he has begun working on it. And also, it doesn't include that environmental insurance that we discussed, that he brought up as an option. We've just completed filling out the application for that additional coverage, and we haven't heard back from them yet about how much it's gonna cost, or if there's additional information they need.
So Scott, we're gonna get as a board a couple months in advance
Right.
this time around, like we didn't last time.
Well, you're gonna get 2 quotes this time, like this.
No, but I mean, 2 quotes, but I want them, can we get them, like 2 months in advance or something like
It's
that?
probably the earliest you can get them is maybe the January board meeting. And then
And when does it have to be decided then?
by March 1st, well, March 1st is the renewal date. I'll talk to Charlie.
Okay.
I think you could probably do it at the March board meeting.
No, you should,
You should do it before the
I'd like
renewal,
to-
but I think you
I'd like
do
to have them a
have.
couple months in advance so we can take a look
Right.
at them this time and we're
a lot
not,
of your companies won't issue a
Quote.
quote that far in advance.
okay.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Well, let's
I'll
see
let
If
you
they
know.
did, it
Just come to
wouldn't,
maximum.
the underwriting wouldn't be accurate.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what Charlie, remember, we asked for it from Charlie maybe several years back before you were here, and he said he'd do his best, but.
That's why I
it
was
tough.
thinking, I
Yeah.
think he could do January, because he does a lot for the city on the workers' comp and the medical.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's a month even. I mean,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
like time to review it before we look at
Yeah, at
it at
least
the
a
board.
meeting.
Right.
And the other thing we could do is, normally he comes in and sits down with us and goes over all of it.
Yeah, like a week.
Every 3 board members wouldn't be able to go, but 2 board members could come to that meeting and would be acceptable, wouldn't violate anything. If 2 of the board members wanted to come to that meeting to go over everything at the meeting, you could do that. too.
Yeah, and I can let you know when that is.
Yeah, that's
That is
great.
that's probably in January.
Yeah, and email all
Yeah.
board members,
Right.
what you got.
Yeah.
Because I did meet with him
Which
before.
Can I ask a question about this bill, $80,000?
Sure.
50,600 so much is coming out of operating and 30,000 or so is coming out of refuse.
Uh-huh.
Is that already been taken out or not? With these numbers that you showed us here?
Yeah, well, that's actually if you go to the 3rd page, or I'm sorry, if you go to the 4th page, it's $80,319.
Yeah, that's right, what, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the split fee, that's the auto policy, and that covers the garbage trucks.
Well, that's just the auto.
Yeah, that's just auto that gets split.
Okay, what I'm asking is, do these numbers on here, is the insurance already out of these numbers for March on here?
No,
Okay.
no, not for March. The other thing is, I don't know, from an accounting perspective, this is a prepaid asset basically, and we should put it on our balance sheet. We haven't done it historically, but yeah, I'll put it on the balance sheet. And then the last thing I have, next to last, I have one more. I attended the Tyler Software Conference earlier this month, and it was really good again. And the HR director attended, assistant controller attended, the IT programmer attended, and also the assistant to the assistant controller, and everybody learned a lot. And we learned there's a lot that we can still do with this thing, and that we haven't got to yet.
But right now, it hasn't changed that much, the new.
No, they did come out with an update.
Right.
Pretty big one that just changed pretty much the first screen. But there are a lot of changes embedded that they did make for the users to simplify some of the stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what-
Even though it didn't really change much as far as what it looks like.
Yeah.
They did make a lot of good improvements.
And there's in a year or less, they're gonna, a major update?
No, that was probably
That was this one.
we have updates every 2 weeks.
Oh.
This thing's being updated every 2 weeks.
God.
So, it's, as they find stuff. And since we're hosted, we don't have some of the same testing issues that if you have it on your own server that you'll come across, when you try to load the software on your server.
Okay.
So we don't have to do as much testing, which is the good news. So anyways, I just put the insurance in here. You basically have already approved it, so I don't think you need to approve it. And it's on the docket, and it's in 2 spots. It's in the operating and then the refuse. So anyways, I just want to let you know that, I was there, and it was
Good.
pretty good. So, and then I have to add one thing on the docket. Here, I'll pass these out. what happened was the due date on this invoice, oh, sorry. The due date on this invoice is May 11th, and it was a major repair to one of our garbage trucks. On page 4, it's $19,955. It did not appear on the docket because of the due date, but I'd like to get it paid. So I would just ask for you to approve it. And just so you know, the original estimates were $29,999 or $44,462. So we were able to fix it for roughly $10,000 lower than one of the estimates. And the other thing on the garbage trucks is central maintenance actually takes care of all those for us. And, you know, we try to coordinate with them, you know, our maintenance department does. But they do all the maintenance, especially on the diesel garbage trucks, and they're the ones that go take them out to get quotes. We do try to review them, but it's kind of out of our hands. We handle most of the CNG ourselves, but the diesel ones, we're kind of at Central Services, because all these are over in Kentucky, on Kentucky Street. So
Is there a motion to approve this payment?
I'll make a motion to approve the payment for $19,955.25.
Second?
Truck Center, Inc.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Approved.
Okay, well, thank you. And that's
Sure,
all I
thank you.
have.
Any
Okay.
questions?
Yeah, any
Okay.
questions? Sorry.
Okay. Dan McCoy, safety.
Afternoon.
Hey, Dan.
Good news is that we didn't have any reportable injuries in March. So far in April, we haven't had any reportable injuries in April. So that's great news. Still following up on some injuries that occurred in their recovery in February during that cold spell primarily, and then some other areas. Just two other areas I'd like to highlight. In process safety management, we have several activities that we're working on. Listed them there on item 4, A through F. Quite a bit going on there. So continue good work by Water Reclamation and Maintenance Department on that. And then on item 5C, Charlie, just wanted to highlight that we have half a dozen new equipment operators that we've trained.
Excellent.
Yeah, on dozer and excavator, and then a few more on backhoe, and then a couple on skid steer. So quite a bit of activity there, and making sure that we have competent operators and that they maintain their certifications. So that's essentially what I have this month to report, the highlights.
Excellent. Well,
Any questions?
No accidents and the operators, that's great.
Yes.
That's great. That's a good program. Any questions? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much. Safety, John Doyle and Associates.
Good afternoon.
Hey, John.
Fifth Street.
Fifth Street. Project is done with the exception that we need to run some mandrel tests on the lines. They're due to be done.
I don't think we could have ran a manual test on the old sewer, John. You know, the way that water was welling up in that sewer. I don't think it would have went through.
Yeah, there's probably quite a few gallons that you haven't missed out of that now. The other sewer was leaking quite badly. But anyway, we need to do that, and I'd kind of like to get it videotaped also.
Okay.
So that,
Does the camera work?
It's been working the last few days.
Oh, that's
Seriously.
wonderful.
You know, let's not jinx it, okay? I'll take a moment of silence for our camera that it'll keep working.
we have a pay request in for a project administration and inspection in the amount of $9,222.50.
Scott, is that on the docket?
All these are on the docket.
Okay, so it's already been approved.
Okay. The Woodruff,
It hasn't been approved yet, but
Well, I mean, it's on the docket. It will be approved, hopefully.
the Woodruff pay request, is that a similar situation?
Why don't you
or-
just go through them just a little
Okay.
bit, John, so we know what these are about.
All right, well, we have Woodruff pay request number 1. This is on the Fifth Street project. This is in the amount of $111,847.01, and I recommend payment in that amount.
Is that all on Fifth Street?
Yes, sir, that's all.
Okay, now Elk and Jackson.
Everything was going extremely well until the other day. We have some issues with the paving. They got onto the site, the contractor got onto the site with his excavator and a 3/4 or a ton and a half dump truck. I have some pictures. The asphalt apparently soft, if you want to take a look at these, but it basically rutted up the asphalt
Jeez.
to the
Oh, my God.
point where, they're,
Right where we need the water to drain, too.
so, I don't know, they were off the site, it was paved on Friday. Normally by Monday, you could run on it with at least most things. In this case, they had street pads on the small excavator, and of course, the dump truck itself was a dual axle, but pavement had not set up at that point, and
Was there something wrong with the mix?
that I can't answer.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, I agree with you 100%, but we did experience that a little bit over on Fifth Street. Also, that it seemed to be, took longer for it to cure out than what normally
Where are they getting that from?
Reese Riley.
Reese Riley's plant.
So I guess my question on this, John, is, who's responsible for this? I mean, before you run something over it, you've got the street blocked
Chris
off.
Riley was the subcontractor to D&M, so
Yeah,
D&M
it's-
is responsible.
D&M's responsibility.
They may pass it on down to Reese Riley.
Okay.
But,
It will be fixed.
All right, so what has to happen with this? Does the pavement have to be pulled up again?
well, they're going to
Blacktop?
try to heat it and roll it, which never works, but,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, let them try it,
you
then
gotta
you
let
tell
them,
them to fix it.
you gotta let them make a shot at it.
Yeah.
But,
So then, does this go
then it has to
under
come
our...
up.
Okay, so does this go under our warranty that we've talked about, or?
No, this
The
is,
project hasn't been finally completed yet.
All right.
it hasn't even been
It doesn't meet plant
substantially complete,
specs, yeah.
right?
Well, I didn't know if
Yeah.
it, what process it was in, Jim, that's why I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that, all right.
Hopefully, their attempt to fix it works, but I don't think so.
No.
I agree.
We also have a pay request, if I can find it, for ourselves here.
Total of $8,665.
Correct.
And that is, will be approved at the end of this meeting.
Okay. And that's all I have at this time.
Any questions for John Doyle?
So, your extra time going out to inspect or to do whatever needs to be done with this, who pays for that?
Well, that would be the sanitary district, perhaps would back charge the contractor, but I don't know that. But sanitary district would pay me.
So Jim, what do we do on something like that?
Well, we'll have to wait and see how much we're talking about.
Yeah, maybe keep track of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that should be
We
a
already-
separate invoice, because I want to find out what his time is going to be on this. So, John, if you can do that.
Sure, we can.
Moving forward and break that out, that would be great.
I mean, there's still, I mean, without this problem, there'd still be,
Right.
final inspection and all
Exactly.
kinds of other
There's
stuff.
some,
but-
there's cleanup,
Exactly, but I mean, if there's gonna be
But if
extra
there's
in there.
extra, right.
Yeah, the
I'd like to
extra
know
part,
that.
you know,
Yeah.
there's some time involved in taking pictures and things like that.
Right.
Not a great deal, of course, but,
Yeah. Yeah,
So
$500 an hour.
yeah. I'll take that, John.
Okay, anything else? Thanks, John.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Thanks, John.
Tim? Haas and Associates, Engineering, Long Beach.
Good afternoon. Okay, Long Beach PER. Hopefully you all have a copy of that agreement or proposal in front of you, dated April 4th at the top. And this is for the long-awaited project to look at bringing sewers to Long Beach Lakeshore Drive. There was a moratorium imposed a couple years ago by the County Board of Health, and there's a need for a solution, and the town is interested in pursuing a sanitary sewer system that would flow into Michigan City's sanitary sewer system along Lakeshore Drive. It wouldn't, I should say that differently. The town is interested in a sewer on Lakeshore Drive, and that sewer will flow into Michigan City's sanitary sewer system. So this proposal is to do the preliminary engineering report as required from the State Revolving Fund loan program. The sanitary district would be the one to apply for the State Revolving Fund program. And we just had a meeting earlier this week with Mr. Meyer and Cuss, as well as several other from the sanitary district, and then a few of the town council members of Long Beach, to go over this proposal for the PER and talk about it. Long Beach Town Council has agreed to pay for this PER in the event that the project doesn't move forward and there is no loan taken out through the SRF. Then the town council would pay the sanitary district back for this PER. But obviously, they hope that the project does move forward, and then they can roll the cost of this into the bond issue for the overall project.
Okay, so, total, not to exceed is 46,815.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I haven't read this document. Jim, is there wording in this that the town will pay that, or whatever it is?
No,
Not in this, no.
this is just their proposal.
Yeah, this is our proposal to the sanitary district.
Okay, do we have anything with,
We have emails so far, and we're
Well,
getting
but
a
we're not,
resolution.
we're not approving that at this point, we're approving your proposal to them, correct?
Right,
Our
the
proposal
proposal is
to
to
the
us.
sanitary
Right.
district.
Exactly, but,
Right.
but there's nothing in there that says Long Beach will,
reimburse us down the
Yeah.
road, no. And then there's nothing in there about where we get money from, period. It just says we will pay Haas and Associates
okay.
X amount of dollars.
So is this gonna work?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, but that's a separate agreement between the sanitary district and Long Beach.
correct, that's
So,
correct.
and I thought we talked about that before,
Yes, we have.
and we didn't do anything with it at that point because we wanted to talk about the additional cost to service the entire Long Beach community.
Part of the PER will be looking not at the cost of the servicing, but
Right,
some look at the other aspect of the rest of Long Beach.
right,
Yeah, we'll look at a system that would pick up the entire town
Yeah.
and the locations of connecting that flow into the sanitary district system. And then what ultimately, that information would then be used for a capacity study separate from this proposal to look at the city's system to see what would have to be done to accept that higher flow in the future. Michael Cuss in particular has been interested in knowing that, so that, basically so that if there's something that can be done with the initial capacity improvements for Lakeshore Drive only, and with just a little bit more effort, let's say, or a little bit more cost, a change could be made such that it could take the whole town. He'd rather do that than have to come back.
That's probably making the pipes a little bit bigger. maybe.
It's, yeah, it's.
And that's
not
why I
kind of
asked that
thing.
request of you too, because, I know that there's some Long Beach people that are off Lakeshore Drive that are very interested in hooking up to the sewer system.
Yeah,
Now, before,
so it's good planning,
Yeah.
good planning.
yeah, before you get too much involved with that and spend our money, are we gonna have a memorandum of understanding or something from Long Beach?
Yes, well, yeah, I mean, eventually, we have an email, and it's in their minutes that they voted to do this.
Okay,
So, now, I mean,
so it's public
you
record.
can have an MOU, and, which isn't any better than an email if they ain't got the money to pay you, or decide they don't wanna pay you.
All right.
You know what I mean?
I-
But there's a commitment on their part,
Okay.
formal, by means of a vote, that they would do this.
So we need a motion to approve this
Right.
engineering services contract?
Proposal.
Proposal.
There will be a contract that is
Yeah,
the standard.
you're right.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the proposal from Haas and Associates for the Lakeshore Drive Sanitary System Project.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Jim, point of clarification on that. Is there an opportunity for us to do some type of contract with Long Beach before Tim starts? Tim, when are you gonna start with the,
Excuse me. Probably we will start in earnest the week after next.
so who is working with Long Beach? Is it Mike in coordination, or is it you
Well, myself and their attorney,
Okay,
Chris Willoughby,
all right.
will be working up an MOU, but it'll cover more than this. It'll cover the whole, project, so to speak, which will include terms about how we're gonna present services, who's gonna own the sewer, just various things. It'll be more than a two-page agreement.
Okay, I understand that, but is there a separate, could there be a separate MOU that they're agreeing to pay for these services even though it's in public meeting, or do you want to wrap it all into the one? Because I know there's larger costs because there's going to be construction costs and everything else, but
Design engineering, this isn't
Right.
the design, this is just a preliminary engineering report.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, I don't know when they meet. I know you guys don't meet until next May, till May. So there's no way we're gonna get done beforehand, which was why we had them do the vote and incorporate it into the minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, I can ask them for something in writing, maybe even a letter. I think we had a letter.
I think we have an email.
I know for sure we had.
Can we do an official letter now that we've approved this? Just ask them for that, please?
Sure.
Okay. That would settle what you're,
Oh, whatever Jim says, I'm good with.
okay. All right.
For now.
Yeah. Anything else for Tim? Or Tim, you got anything else?
On this project, no.
Okay.
On,
Yeah, north end area flow capacity.
yeah, regarding the north end area flow capacity study, you should have a proposal from Haas and Associates in front of you. Here is an exhibit, if you recall, a month ago, Chairman had asked for an exhibit. So this is the final version. This is a version that's acceptable for discussion purposes, but it has been modified a little bit in the actual agreement. But, so this exhibit shows the area that's included, the project area, and it's it is the red dashed line.
It's the second last page of the proposal.
Yeah. Oh, if you have the proposal, yeah, then look at that version.
Why is every other page blank? In my,
I think it was two-sided, and then
It's
when it got
two-sided.
copied, it got copied the wrong way. Sorry about that. It's a copying error by our financial manager, but what are you gonna do? He's trying to do his best.
So this shows you the overall.
The second last page of the proposal has the correct map.
Yes. So this shows the area.
It's a little bit larger. That's why I was looking at it.
But it's not accurate. This one's accurate.
It's 90% accurate.
this is not accurate?
Correct.
It's
Not
90%
100%, so
accurate.
Okay, this is
Let's
100%.
not
Yeah.
get it into record.
Right.
All right.
So that shows you the project area, essentially from Trail Creek, the creek, down to 11th Street, and then from approximately Lighthouse Premium Outlets or Wabash Street to Michigan Boulevard, excluding the residential portion of Elston Grove. Because there's not going to be much development within that area. It's pretty well fully developed.
And you already
Yeah, if
fixed
it is
it.
development, it'll be just a replacement of the residential that's already there, so you're not gonna generate a substantial amount of increased flow.
So, basically, in short, this proposal is to do a few things. One is to gather data on existing storm and sanitary manhole structures in this project area and put those into an electronic format. Some of the data for those manholes has already been collected by John Doyle and Associates on a past project for, I believe, perhaps the Redevelopment Commission.
No, it was for the same
It
thing.
wasn't for the sanitary district?
Right.
And so we will incorporate, let's see, from the Doyle survey, I think there's 221.
They'll incorporate whatever the
Yeah,
information
there's-
is in the Doyle survey.
Several hundred structures within the Doyle survey that have already been surveyed, and all the information is in hand, but it's not put into an electronic sewer atlas, which is one of the end goals of this project, is to have a storm and sanitary sewer atlas in GIS format.
Right.
That's the software that Tony Basil uses. And then in that atlas, it will have information or attributes for each manhole, each length of sewer, so there'll be, it's like a smart sewer atlas for the use of your crews and department. This,
Can I ask you a question on the map?
certainly.
I'm just curious, because you've got, it comes up here and goes over here, but then there's a red barrier that goes here too, and then dotted
This
lines.
is Doyle.
So this is that's what I was gonna ask. Is
The
that
colors, I wonder if the
I think
colors turned out
This
okay.
is Doyle.
That's
And this
It's
is,
already been paid.
The project area. And then there's another,
That's what I was looking for, this other,
purple around 4th Street, the purple one?
yeah, right, because with the double tracking, I would just wanna make sure that that's in your survey area too.
Analysis, but it-
Along 4th? Along
Yeah.
4th?
Yeah,
Yes, it is. This area up here on the north, basically from 4th Street to the north, has already been collected, the information, by Doyle and Associates.
okay.
The remainder of the area would be collected by Haas and Associates under this project.
Right.
And then there's also a purple line around
Yeah.
4th Street, because on 4th Street, that area is going to require a little bit of extra attention because of the complexity and the number of sewers there.
Okay,
There's
that's
gonna
what I
be
was
some-
asking, because I saw that different color.
Yeah.
oh, I
There's
see,
gonna
it's
be
just a
some-
little box around 4th.
Yeah, some
Okay.
double checking and
They found some
additional.
manholes and nobody know for sure where they go.
Yeah, there's,
Frankly, I mean, so they figured out there's supposed to be, a big sanitary and a big storm, but then there's some more manholes. So they want to figure out,
No, there's two sanitary.
yeah,
ones.
two sanitary,
sanitary,
two
and
storm
one
sewers.
And a big storm sewer.
Yeah, there's a lot going
anyway,
on
they want
on
to
4th
verify
Street.
everything
Okay.
that's out
So
there.
it's,
Okay.
that area is drawn to your attention in this proposal because there's going to be some hourly services there. We're not sure exactly how much. Working with the sanitary district crews, doing things like smoke testing, dye testing, sounding, televising, things like that to try to nail down what is working, what is abandoned, how it's connected, things like that.
Perfect. And then, okay,
Big job. No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna talk about approval of this, that we wanted to sit down and still go over the financial aspects of this a little more closely and determine how we're gonna pay for this, which fund and all that. So if you would consider approving that contingent upon district's evaluation in-house with financial manager, general manager, and Attorney Meyer, that's what we would like to do right now.
I'll make that motion.
Just
Mr. Meyer
let you
wants-
know, there'll be
Oh, yeah.
some flow metering being done because the sanitary side of it needs to be analyzed. So that's going to be using the district's flow meters. And then when you get to the end, first of all, they'll be doing a hydraulic model for the stormwater using, I don't remember, was it hazmat or whatever it is. But then they'll also be doing eventually a model, which we'll have to pay extra for the sanitary as well, so that we can, if you dump in X amount here, what effect did that have downstream instead of just kind of guessing. Anyway, just so, there's more than just measuring the manholes and
Right.
the size of
Yeah,
the sewers.
it's taking all that physical data on the system, inputting it into modeling software. Actually, initially inputting it into more like CAD software and GIS software, and then taking that information and using it in hydraulic and hydrological modeling software. So that then the city, as development takes place in this area, can take a look at what the expected flows are from the different development and look at how that affects the sanitary and storm system in the north end.
So it's been moved and seconded for the Haas agreement.
Yeah,
There's one more thing about this too, that the redevelopment commission has paid for some of this flow monitoring that was done on page 8, it's $24,000.
They paid all of it.
Paid all of that, and then they've also given reimbursement, if you will, I guess it's reimbursement ahead of time, to the sanitary district for $50,100, because they've agreed to contribute $75,000 towards this project. And this had to do with our stormwater ordinance when they were building the legacy apartments, stormwater drainage, stormwater collection containment system. And they really couldn't build it quite big enough to handle all the stormwater. And there's contingencies in the city ordinance that allows them to do something else in lieu of, when they can't build it big enough. And this was the agreement that we had with them to do this study. And then the study got maybe a little bigger than they thought. So they've paid $75,000 of this, or 50 of this $132,000 that's on page 7. They also contribute $51,000, so that amount would come off of that. But we're still a little concerned about how we're going to pay for it. There's a couple other incidentals. Item D has yet to be determined, and item B2 is yet to be determined, and so forth. So, but if we could get your approval, pending my consensus with Mr. Attorney Meyer and Financial Manager Scott Kisser before we move forward, that would be great. And then we could sign
I
off.
think it's been moved and seconded.
I will, yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It's not on the agenda, but if you'd like, I could talk a little bit about the village road and.
I think it's a good idea. We should have it on the agenda, sure.
Storm drainage project. We have been working mainly on we've got the survey done, we've got the existing conditions drawings done, and we've got about 50% of the design done for the portion of the sewer system that's in the roads. The portion of the system that's going to be, drainage system that's going to be in the rear yards, that's been going kind of slowly. We're at a point where we need to have some information on connectivity and so forth, which it's great to hear now that the sewer video truck is back up and running.
Yeah, but, seriously, it's not jinxing, okay?
Oh,
It's like when a guy's got a no-hitter going in the 8th inning, and then you call all your friends and say, hey, you guys got a no-hitter going. You don't say that stuff.
Mums of earth.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's not really that funny, honestly. It makes them in a real pain.
But,
How long have you been waiting for us to video that one
Well,
live?
that's as soon as we have a little bit more info on that kind of thing, then we'll have some plans on how to take that water out of those rear yards, what to do with that water, and then get together with Michael and staff to look at those options, get input and so
Right.
forth, so we can.
So you're not gonna really do anything in the rear yards? I mean, you're not going to,
Well, they don't know yet.
oh,
When you say do anything,
I
I'm
mean,
not sure what you mean.
construction-wise.
Oh, I think there'll be things done in the rear yards.
Oh, so,
Yeah, I
you
think
know,
so.
sheds are gonna have to be moved and stuff like that?
It's very possible.
Because we have an easement there, right?
Yeah, there's easements there, but they're very narrow. I think they're 6 feet wide on each side of the property line,
So
so
12
12
feet?
feet total.
Yeah.
Michaels couldn't even work in there.
Yeah, that's pretty small to get equipment in and, things like that, so.
Well, I mean, you could do the work and get a construction easement, right?
Yeah, there could be construction
Okay,
easements, and
All right,
the work could be done with smaller equipment and
all right.
things like that.
Pickaxe.
Shovel. The sewer's not that, I mean, it's not real deep.
It's not very deep, no, so that's
So you don't need
good.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anything else from Mr. Haas, or what?
Anything? Thank
Do you
you.
have an
Thanks, Tim.
estimated completion date, so to speak, or?
For the project design?
Yeah, roughly.
I would say for the work on the streets, that's pretty much totally within our control. We could have that ready to go in about a month and a half. The work in the rear yards, it's a little premature because we're not quite sure what the solution is going to be yet. But I would say, if things go well, a couple months, But that's contingent upon the thing that we don't talk about also.
So maybe by July, early July.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael?
All right, first thing I had is, got a couple things that aren't on the agenda that I want to talk about and get through so I don't forget. That's yours. I mentioned at the last meeting, and I actually took it off of this meeting's agenda, that we were officially accepted in for the Partners for Pollution Prevention. And this is the letter that we received from Commissioner Bruno Piggott, who, I guess, instead of just signing it, took the liberty of personalizing it a little bit there with the little note he has to me there at the top about the fact we're doing a good job. But basically says, on behalf of all Hoosiers, I welcome the sanitary district as a member for Partners for Pollution Prevention. Distinguished as one of a select group of facilities across Indiana that go above and beyond environmental requirements, implementing environmental pollution prevention initiatives, committing to continuous improvement, and meeting stringent requirements for membership. This commitment also moves Indiana towards a balanced future of economic success and cleaner Indiana for all Hoosiers. I'm proud that Indiana has businesses like yours to take it upon themselves to act as stewards of the environment. Together we prove business and government can work together. We're a government agency too, so maybe they could have modified that a little bit there, but I think you guys get the point. I encourage you to promote your accomplishments and to identify new environmental commitments in conjunction with partners and your business goals. More detailed information can be found at the website. So that's the official news there.
And you didn't read the part though where Commissioner Piggott says that you are terrific, talking about you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Smiley. I wanted to also tell you that yesterday or day before, I guess it was, I sent in a abstract to do a presentation at this year's annual conference, which is in September, I want to say September 18th down in Indianapolis, for partners to talk about many of the things that we've done here at the sanitary district with our energy savings, our C&G, our conference. The theme is around partnering for success, so I talked about how we partnered with NIPSCO with the rebate and how we've partnered with a lot of other groups. The Cheney Run, I talked about that with all the grant money from all the different EPA and IDNR and Save Our Great Lakes and all that, and how we work with Delta Institute and the Great Lakes Alliance. So I hope
Harwick.
and Carwick, yeah. I hope they select us because I think it would be a really good presentation and timely. But we'll see how that goes, when you submit those abstracts. They did extend the deadline for submitting them, so that might be a good sign that they didn't get a lot of people in. And then I also wanted to say again that on June 12th, we are getting, like, I don't know, officially for the third time, I guess, inducted into this organization at one of their quarterly meetings, which is in Indianapolis. So I think I'll send that out to you, board members, if any of you would like to go along or go meet me or whatever. I'm going to go there and accept it on the district's behalf. There's two more things that I had that aren't on the agenda, if you just bear with me. We had an emergency repair of Clark Road Lift Station Force Main. That's out on US 20, and it crosses over the Strebel Arm Ditch on US 20 on the west side of town. I want to thank Mr. Doyle for coming out there, and also Johnny Gorsica, who was on the spot. They did a really nice job of spearheading this correction. And we had to call in Woodruff. The line broke right as it was going over the creek. It was a little leak, not very much. This happened once before, you might remember. We had to clamp it. This time it was right at the embankment where there was a whole bunch of cement and there was no way we could clamp it. But we went down and talked with Mr. Doyle, and Mr. Doyle said, well, let's dig back where we're going to do this, because we have the plan to go around that you approved at the last meeting. So we kind of did part of that plan while we fix this now. So that was a big job, and I really appreciated all the work by Mr. Doyle for sure.
Yeah, INDOT's replacing.
Yeah, they're replacing that bridge, but, you know, we could have not had this leak for, you know, whatever, 2 more months or 3 more months.
Okay,
but
2 or
it was
10.
all reported to IDEM, and normally I would send you guys an email or something that I had many issues that I was dealing with, and I didn't get there, so I'm telling you about it today, okay? The other thing is that same day, we had to do an emergency repair of one of our raw sewage pump VFDs, variable frequency drives went out. You know, these variable frequency drives, I don't know, might be time to look for a case study, because I think it's about $8,000 for the variable frequency drive, and you just think, okay, yeah, it's supposed to save you energy by, you know, keeping the pumps not peaking and starting so much, but I just wonder, it seems like they go out so often, I wonder if it's even almost worth it, so. But those were 3 things that I wanted to tell you about, just to keep you abreast of some of the things that have been going on. Energy savings report is next on the agenda. The numbers are in for March, and they look pretty good. We had an $11,000 savings over the average of the last 2 years, based on the rate 726. And now we're up to an extrapolated savings of $80,000 a year. $79,397 is our extrapolated savings that we think we're going to get in 1 year, which is an 18% savings, so that's pretty good. Last year, or last 2 years' average cost for electricity was $433,569, so you can save 20% of that. That's not too bad. The other thing I wanted to say about this is I've always been talking about the power factor, and I had a proposal, 2 proposals on the power factor, and I sent them out, got the quotes. I sent the notice out to this gentleman with a contract that we developed, and I haven't heard boo from the man since we sent it. I put some language in there because he said he was guaranteeing the performance that we would achieve this reduction, and I haven't heard from him, you know, and for 2 days I've been saying I got to give him a call, so I need to make sure I do that. But if we can get that in, I think we can even save a little more money on our electricity. The second sheet is the comparison of when the CSSB blowers, which is our combined sewage storage basin, were not used. I keep talking about how when we use those, we get our peak demand. In March, back on this sheet here, our peak demand was 92. I'm going from memory now. We didn't hit the peak. It was in the 90s anyways, not over 95 is what it has to be, and that's where the capacitors would come in. But when we use these blowers, sometimes we're using a lot more electricity than we need to, and we're thinking about doing them in the off-demand hours. So far, we haven't had to use the blowers at all this year, but I wanted to point out for those of you that are trying to keep up with Holt, we're looking at every number on here, that the previous versions of this form were really not accurate. For the demand and usage column, I actually had the same numbers in there for both columns, so I fixed it this time. So that gives us an average monthly savings of about $5,000 compared to the months where we haven't used the blowers. So I wanted to point that out, okay? Capacitor study and installation, I guess I already talked to you about that. Transformer and electrical cable, that's the other part of that. there was a proposal for testing our transformer oil, and again, I just need to get with that man from Lafayette area. Cheney Run Stormwater Project update. We do have the 70% drawings are in now. We've reviewed them, and our plan looks really good. I really like the way it's moving along, and we are required, one thing we're required to do is to enhance or create 5 acres of wetland, and we're up to almost 10 acres of wetland, 9.7 acres in the latest proposal. So I think that's moving along well. We really think that we should be able to start construction maybe sometime in October, November, if things go well with permitting. We'll have a little presentation on this at the Conference on the Environment, but we could also do it, I could also update you guys on more specifics at the next board meeting if you'd like me to. Carwick dump site, I don't think we needed that April 18th, 2019 was supposed to go for Cheney Run and negotiation.
Cheney Run, you say 70% drawings are in, or is it
Yes.
30?
70.
Oh, okay, because at the meeting this afternoon, they said we had 30.
70.
No, they said 70.
Oh, did they?
Maybe you were thinking of 100 minus 70, it's 30.
That could be, yeah. All right.
First of all,
30% more to go.
the first 2 bullet items on item 3, C3, are supposed to go under Cheney Run. The negotiation with GAF property donation, we've talked to them a couple of times. We're going to try to get together with them again next week to go over our 70% drawings, and maybe we could finally get the formal agreement signed. I don't see any reason why we can't, because we're meeting all their terms and conditions, and I think it'll be no problem. So the 3rd bullet item under item C3 does go with Cheney Run, or go with Carwick, and that is in your packet. There was a change order for the tree clearing. We had a little more tree clearing to do than we thought, and when the order received the water quality, it became apparent that all remaining trees needed to be cut from the project site, approximately 5 acres, prior to April 1st. We received the DNR permit, and the DNR permit said we had till April 1st, or till March 31st, to cut down all the trees for the bat habitat. You had to do it before March 31st in the floodway. So that's what we signed the contract with this gentleman to help us on, was to cut the trees down in the floodway. Well, we got the IDEM permit after we signed this, and the IDEM permit said all trees on the site, on the project site. So we just thought, to be safe, we'll get them all cut down, and in order to have the man help us with that, we needed this change order to the tune of $7,400, and that brings the total project cost for that contract to $25,400, which again will all be part of the Carwick remediation, project reimbursement or fund that we have from the Carwick project. So I'd ask you that you approve this change order.
I'll make the motion to approve the change order.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Approved.
Then we have given a notice of award to Woodruff, and we are working on a contract with them, and we're having a few stumbling blocks with the contract. There was an issue on training, which he just sent in, by the way, right before the meeting, and I printed out the copies, and they're on the copy machine out there that I forgot to grab for you to show you. We got that information, and then the contract called for them to do tree clearing and removal of trees. And there's 2 line items in there for that on the Carwick project. And because we had this March 31st deadline, we decided to do much of that work.
To be accurate, the bid document, not the contract.
Sorry, did I say the contract? I'm sorry. The bid documents had that in there. And then we did a lot of this work, so we went to Mr. Woodruff and we said, we think that we didn't get rid of most of the trees, we just cut them all down. There's still a lot of trees there if you've gone by there. So we threw out some numbers of percentages for those 2, because he still has to get the stumps out, all the stumps out, and he didn't like our percentages. He came back and said, no, I went to the site the day before the bids were due, and that's what I based my bid on. Okay, that sounds fair, but that was the 27th of March, and we did do some additional work on the 28th, the 29th, and I think, the 28th and 29th, so got rid of some bigger trees. So we still feel like we need to work out some lowering of the total amount of the contract to compensate for some of the work that we did for those 2 days, and we're working on that. So those are the 2 stumbling blocks that we have right now. But we do want to get going on this so he can get started. Boy, we've had some beautiful weather here in April, and it would have been really good to get some more progress done on that. Okay, so that takes care of those 2 bullet items. I have one more bullet item here, which is another change order regarding Carwick. If I could pass this one around. I guess you don't need 50 copies, there's only 2 or 3 of you, but this is when we talked with IDEM on the project. IDEM wanted us to install more gas monitoring wells for the site, and we told them, okay, we'll put 3 more in. What do you think about that? They said that's good. So this is a change order to install 3 more gas monitoring wells. The original contract price was $12,291, and then the change order amount is on the second page, top left, $4,279. Brings the total project cost for these gas wells to $16,570. And again, this would come out of the Carwick Remediation Fund, and I'd ask that you approve this change order number 1 for the gas probe installation.
Is there a motion to?
Yeah, I'll make that
You can
motion.
make a motion, but these will be on the south side of the railroad tracks, on the south side. They determine some of the existing probes that the gas was, at least up to the railroad tracks, so these are to verify whether or not it went south of the railroad tracks.
Very good, I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Training me out here. Okay, thank you. Number C4, Bagley Plume Concord Cleaners. As I told you before, the second round of testing's done. We did receive a draft report. Actually, I think it was the day of our last meeting or so forth. I've reviewed it very cursively, and I need to spend a little more time reviewing it in more detail. Last time I had them change some of the language in there to be a little more accurate about the homes that were tested and the things that we found. So hopefully we can get that final report off to IDEM very soon. I guess there is a reimbursement in your packet, and this is on the docket, I assume?
Yes.
It's on the docket, but it's a handout to let you know that August MAC for $54,886.56, that is going to be sent over to the Redevelopment Commission for them to reimburse the sanitary district for that work. Okay? Okay. Ohio Street, again, we got no report from the engineer. I don't know what happened to the weekly reports from the Mr.
I thought I
Peel.
got one.
According to Johnny, he said we didn't get one, but Johnny's been doing his weekly report that you might have got, and it's in your packet.
Oh, yeah.
And it talks about what he did out there each week. I don't really know that I need to go through every line item. It's there for you to read. You can tell he's pretty thorough and gives you a pretty good update of everything he's doing out there. He reported today at our Stormwater Advisory Group meeting that the work on stabilizing the ditch banks will probably be able to be started maybe next week, because he said the utilities are finally going to be out of there one day next week. So at the rate that's been going, I'd say probably 2-3 weeks from now, they'll probably get started on that. But that was his latest report. Thank John for putting this together.
Thank you, John.
It's a good, some good documentation down the road that we'll be able to look at. I do know one thing that I noted when I was out there with some of the cement work, so I might need to take a look at that. And we also had a change order through the Redevelopment Commission to put cement collars around all the manhole lids out there, structures, because some of them had some pretty big dips in them, so that'll level them out, and then it'll also make them last a little longer when you go to plow the salt and stuff like that. So that was a change order that.
Yeah, when you go back to resurface in 10 years or whatever, you'll be able to match them.
Right.
No adjustments.
Right. It's a lot easier and a lot better in the long run. It costs
Yeah,
a little more.
I've added that to all of my work.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I think it's something
Yeah.
that we needed to do.
It's
So
$1,000 a pop.
yeah, get it done.
Yeah.
I agree. So just in case you're looking at some of that stuff, that's some of the kind of things that having somebody on site like Mr. Gorsica, really helps out with that.
Yeah.
Okay, digester electrical. Okay, we've talked about this a lot. Phase 1, Phase 2. Phase 1's complete. Phase 2, our portion that we were scody-doo, we've got about 90% done. We had a contract award and a contract document with Marquis Electric, and as it turned out, now they're saying that they made their quote in error, and item B is that we needed to purchase the equipment. We haven't purchased this ventilation equipment yet, but they need to install it, so stay tuned for more information on that. But right now, we got our part about done. We need to purchase this ventilation equipment, which is like a furnace and a couple fans, I believe, and then some other minor ductwork. And we'll have to work out this contract thing with Marquis. We may end up having to re-quote the project, who knows. Blue Swag, your monthly report's in there for the Blue Swag. Our Stormwater Advisory Group meeting has probably been going on about a year now, I'd say, or close to it, and it's really pretty good. I think we get a lot of good input, and we get some people from around the city that participate, and also some, like Jennifer Bridgefield, she's in charge of the Urban Waters Program for Northwest Indiana. She always seems to come to our meetings, and so you guys can read through that if you want to. Former Seneca Electrical Project, we do have a contract with Marquis to do that work, and we've given them a notice to proceed, so they should be starting on that real soon if they haven't already. Item 9 is all of your monthly reports that usually haven't been going through as much as we used to do, which is okay. And then just looking at the wastewater treatment plant report very quickly, we had 98% BOD removal, 99.3% suspended solids removal, and 99.8% ammonia removal. You can't really do much better than that. A little bit of room, but not much room for improvement there. 99.8. One of the reasons we have been, why that's important though, is we've lowered our blower speeds down to that 60% number, which I think has really helped out our electrical savings, but as it shows, our treatment efficiency is still right on the money, so it hasn't hurt anything at all so far, and I think we're still getting decent mixing. The refuse tonnage report, which I usually just like to read, for March, we had 1,043 tons of compact and 26 tons of loose, for a grand total of 1,069.5 tons. And I guess I could leave the toy comment for the next meeting. You remind me when we actually get one. We accidentally picked up some child had his toy by the garbage, so we accidentally picked it up and threw it away. But we've made amends with the homeowner, so. Right. Those things happen, I guess.
Mr. Cos, I want to suggest that we may see even a greater savings in the energy once the cleaning of the diffusers is.
Yeah, let's hope so. Or we'll see better oxygen, 'cause I don't know if we can go much lower than 60% for the mixing, but we could try. We can go down to 50% if you want. Okay, I think that's all I had.
5 year?
I don't have anything on that right now. So we talked about that at the last meeting, I think, enough.
I don't have anything. I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions for our attorney? Okay, approve and allow revenues and tax levy claims for payment. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Old business, any old business? Hearing none, new business.
What, you're gonna bring something up on new business or not? Or you did it already?
I covered it, yeah. And I talked to Spike the other thing, and it's been taken care of.
Okay, old business. Next meeting is May 22nd. Adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Approved. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.